Armen and Levack, 104.5 The Team, your home for New York sports, and happy to have on ESPN college basketball analyst Seth Greenberg. You see him on SportsCenter all the time, at Seth on Hoops on Twitter. Coach, thanks for joining us today. And, hey, you were in Albany recently. In September, you came here as one of the coaches at the Coaches Clinic at St. Rose. You were featured there with Billy Donovan and John Calipari. How was the 518? You probably just flew in and flew out, huh?
Well, I just drove in and drove out, but
nice.
Yeah, the drive wasn't bad. But no, it was great. The clinic was absolutely terrific, and it was for a great cause, helping Howie Garfinkel, and who basically is the godfather of all of us as coaches. I thought the clinic was really well attended, and there was a lot of great information, and it's always good to hang out with Billy and John, and it was a good experience. I really enjoyed it.
Coach, we're watching hoops right now, and we're looking at the Kentucky team, and we're like, can anybody beat Kentucky, or are they just going to steamroll everybody and win the tournament this year?
Well, they got a tough one next weekend, and that's Louisville. Well, Louisville's a one team. The art of an upset is controlling the tempo of the game. The art of the upset is creating offense out of your defense. The art of the upset is, basically, getting the team, breaking the rhythm of your opponent. And Louisville has that ability. Now, will they do it? I don't know. The other part of it is you got to make threes, and they're one of the worst three-point shooting teams in college basketball, Louisville. So I'm just it's fun watching this Kentucky team play, and everyone thinks, well, they talk about their defense. I'll tell you what I'm talking about. I'm talking about how they share the ball. They assist on 60% of their field goals. They assisted on 70% in their Carolina win. They play for the good of the group, which is hard when you have non-McDonald's All-Americans.
Joining us now, Seth Greenberg, ESPN college basketball analyst, at Seth on Hoops on Twitter. He's a must-follow. And, Coach, how good is Jahlil Okafor from Duke? Is this freshman the best pro prospect in the game right now?
He is awfully good. I like him, and I also like Karl Anthony Towns as an interesting prospect, another skilled front court player. But Okafor's hands, the ball's like a grapefruit in his hands. It's ridiculous. His footwork is terrific. He reads the defense. He understands how to play. He'll throw out of a double team. And he's got all kinds of offensive moves. He's really special.
Coach, we got Duke, UConn Thursday. How good of an early marquee matchup is this going to be?
I would have said it would have been better until Connecticut had that hiccup, and Connecticut's a work in progress. You don't lose. Everyone talks about Shabazz Napier, but DeAndre Daniels, Niels Gaffai, you don't lose those guys, those blend guys, and remain the same. They've replaced those guys with young players. Connecticut is void of another scoring option. Obviously Ryan Boatwright can score. Can they get consistent scoring out of Hamilton? Can they get consistent scoring out of Purvis? I think that's the question. I think it looks like they're going to start to play through Brima. That'll be an interesting matchup to watch, Brima and Okafor. Brima's long, lean, skinny, can protect the rim. And then you got Okafor, a big body who's going to try to run Brima right to the front of the rim and use his size and his strength. And, the other thing will be how Connecticut, can they pressure Duke like they did maybe Michigan State and Kentucky? I don't think so, but it's going to be a good game. It's going to be an interesting game to watch in terms of it'll pose a couple of different issues for Duke that they haven't seen early in the season.
Coach Seth Greenberg of ESPN. Coach, I know you like to title yourself as a pizza connoisseur. Are you a New York pizza guy or Chicago?
Gotta be New York pizza. There's only
okay. That's the only way to go, right?
Yeah, there's only way. The Chicago stuff's overrated. Totally overrated.
The deep dish sits in your stomach for like 4 weeks, right?
Yeah, maybe a slice of Sicilian, New York Sicilian's all right, but the deep dish, got too much. I'm a pizza guy. I don't need to throw 8,000 things on my pizza. All right? If it's a good pizza, a cheese pizza is all you need. You don't need the bells and whistles. People just don't understand it.
Beautiful. Seth Greenberg of ESPN. Follow him on Twitter at Seth on Hoops. And, Coach, I feel like we're bonding right now. I want to bring you back at 5:30 because I want to ask you about this Syracuse basketball program and what our expectations should be of them in the ACC. You good for 5:30?
Let's do it.
Armen and Levack, 104.5 The Team, your home for New York sports. Seth Greenberg, ESPN college basketball analyst, back on with us today at Seth on Hoops on Twitter. Coach, thanks for joining us again. And what can you expect from Syracuse in the ACC this year? They've really struggled early on. What's going on with them?
I think you're going to expect probably some inconsistency. Let's face it, the point guard play in the past 3 years has been magnificent. It's not magnificent right now. It's a work in progress. Caleb Joseph is learning the position. He doesn't really understand yet decision-making, advantage, disadvantage, when to go, when not to go, when to shoot, when not to shoot. He's not as good at the top of the zone maybe as others have been, but he's a good athlete, and he's going through what most freshmen go through. I mean, the reality is what's happened over the last few years, whether it's Michael Carter-Williams paying his apprenticeship his freshman year and then having a great sophomore year, or Tyler Ennis doing what he did last year, it takes time. You can't miss a senior wing scorer who understood how and why they were doing everything and replace him, with a freshman or an unproven sophomore. You just can't do it. Trevor Cooney's having a hard time getting shots because there's no one to get him shots right now, and he's playing about the end of the game the other night against Louisiana Tech was the best I've ever seen Trevor Cooney play. I love McCullough. I think he's going to be really good. He's got to get a little tougher. The job that Mike Hopkins and Adrian and the assistant coaches have done with Rakeem Christmas has been great. So they're going to be better than Jim's saying they are right now. It's frustrating because they're not doing the little things that you expect from a Syracuse team. But, let's put it this way. You don't become a Hall of Fame coach without trying to figure it out or being able to figure it out. Like the last play against Louisiana Tech was pure brilliance. Showing one set, coming out in another set, isolating your best player, getting him where your inbounder has to be defended because people are afraid of him stepping right back in like he did about 3 plays before. So Jim will figure it out. I expect probably a 9-7 type ACC record, something in that area. What do they play 18 now? Are they playing 18?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. So I would say maybe a 10-8 type season.
Okay.
The bottom of the ACC is bad right now.
Right.
And that's the reality. So I don't know their exact schedule.
Seth Greenberg of ESPN at Seth on Hoops on Twitter.
Coach, when you look at this Syracuse team with the players leaving early, is this a situation where you're just going to see Syracuse get better towards the end of the year, or is Boeheim going to have to adjust how he recruits to bring in more one-and-done style players?
No, their recruiting is going great. I think that it's just going to be the team's a work in progress, and that's what most teams are. People forget. Look at even though they've won the games, Kansas is a work in progress. Kansas was a work in progress with Andrew Wiggins last year. Yeah. That's just a reality. Everyone wants, a faster computer, a better cell phone, whatever. It doesn't work that way. It just doesn't. So, these guys, Syracuse has been very fortunate and spoiled to think that guys are going to come in and just step in. But they've done a great job of developing players. Think about the guys that have developed, within the system. C.J. Fair is a perfect example. He's a perfect example. Jeremy Grant last year from his freshman year to his sophomore year. Perfect example. So, they've done a great job of developing players. The players that are there will get better. I like Roberson. I think he's showing signs. He's got to be a little bit tougher, but he's showing signs of doing some good things, and that's why you continue to practice. People forget it's only December. This next 6 weeks will be a big period of time because when the players come back from their winter break and the holidays, you get them for about 6 weeks with no classes. Big time to help for your team to improve.
ESPN college basketball analyst at Seth on Hoops on Twitter. Coach, always greatly appreciate your time. And, of course, here in the Capital Region, we love our hoops as well with Jimmy Patos at Siena, Will Brown at
You guys
UAlbany.
put up with that guy?
Well,
he takes over the show, Coach.
He busts down the door and just walks in the studio once a week.
He's a mess.
Seth Greenberg, everybody. Thank you, Coach.
My pleasure, guys.